Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, welcome. My name is Heather, and on this channel we like to walk a very fine line between a shopping addicted makeup monster and a responsible adult with a makeup hobby. Now, I really enjoy eyeshadow singles, duochromes, multichromes, blush, highlight, bronzer, lip gloss, basically everything except pressed glitter. Today, we are going to be doing a collection and declutter for all of my face palettes. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, stick with me, we're getting into it right now. And I don't know how much swatching we're actually going to be doing in here. I'll probably do some, but I think I just want to go through and really kind of like narrow this down because I have a lot of stuff in here that I really like. Do I need it all? Probably not, but let's kind of dive in and we'll see where we land. I think for sure I'm going to get rid of this one. This was something I saw advertised on Trendmood, and of course I was like super excited because it's so pretty, but I just don't really see myself using this that often, and it's kind of bulky, so I'm going to go ahead and let this one go. Then one that I'd like to hang on to is the Natasha Denona Blush and Glow palette, and I really like it for this shade here, which is like this super diamondy, sparkly kind of shade. It looks like super wet and glittery on the cheeks, so I'm going to hang on to this one. I do think it's starting to dry out though, which kind of sucks, so I need to use it more. This is the Beauty Bakery Milk and Honey. It's one of the few palettes that I keep inside the packaging because I really like this like little honeycomb effect. And then this is just the inside of the palette. This is what the shades look like. They do still feel nice and soft. So I'm going to go ahead and keep that one as well. Okay, this one I'm definitely going to hang on to. This was a gift from a friend of mine. So hi Emily if you're watching. But that's what this one looks like. I'm sorry, it's like super mirrored, but it has a lot of really nice like kind of blush and highlighty type colors. One like bronzer color, and then this is like a super light, almost an iridescent like kind of a blue shift. So I do really like that one. Gonna hang on to this. I love that these stick together. I have the Too Faced Natural Face Palette, which is very challenging to open. Looks like this. Smells like summer and the beach, which I really like. I'm not a huge fan of this highlighter. I do really like the blushes though, and I like the bronzers, although they're a smidge deep, so I tend to use this more in the summer, but I'll be hanging on to that one. And then the OG Becca and Jaclyn Hill palette. I mean, this has got to be like 1,000 years old, but that's what this one looks like. I do still really like it. It's still nice and soft, like classic Becca formula, so I'll hang on to that as well. And there's the swatches for those two highlighters in case you wanted to see them, since I already had it on my hands. Alright, these I think are going to go into a maybe pile. These were from an indie brand called Sparrow Cosmetics, and although I kind of like them and they have some kind of like unusual shifts to them, they're super like powdery and messy. Like I've wiped this thing out like 6 times and it still looks like really crazy. So I don't know. I'm going to put these off to the side as a maybe because I would love to have this palette back. Alright, here is the Profusion and Mean Girls palette. Looks like this. And it is very pretty. The powders are definitely nice and soft. That's the 3 shades there. I mean, this blush is like super light. That's going to go in the maybe pile as well because I feel like I don't really like need it per se. But part of me wants to keep it anyway because it's Mean Girls. Alright, so we'll talk about these two next. I think I have a third one of these. Oh, here it is. I was going to say, I think I have 3 of these. So these are the BH Valentine's Day blush quads that came out, I want to say last year. So this is the Vanilla Cream Truffle. Then I have the Chocolate Marshmallow Truffle, which looks like this. And the Vanilla Peach Truffle. These last two I picked up at TJ Maxx for like $5. And they still smell really good, so I'm going to hang on to all 3 of those. But I don't need their covers still, so we can toss that out. Okay. I'm probably not getting rid of any of these either, so we can talk about these next. These are the Trixie Cosmetics like decade blush palettes that they do. So they typically do 2 blushes and a highlight, although I think this would be more of like a blush topper, but this is the 90s one, which is like more of a brown, cool toned. Then we have the, where's the sleeve for that one? We have the 70s one that looks like this. We have the 80s one, which looks like this. And then we have the 60s one, which looks like this. So I'm going to hang on to all those. I guess I'll get rid of the extra covers since I only have 3 of the 4 covers. It's kind of weird to keep them all. This one we're definitely not getting rid of. This is the Pat McGrath and Bridgerton face trio. So 2 blushes and a highlighter. This highlight tends to run a little bit deep. My goodness, that's soft. But I think sheared out, it works pretty well for me. So I tend to shear it out over top of these blushes. I do really like this palette. I think out of everything that was in the Bridgerton collection, this is probably one of my favorite items, so we'll hang on to that. Scooch everything else over here. I have this NARS quad, which I went on the hunt for this NARS quad, and it's one of the Orgasm quads, Orgasm X, and then what are these other 2? Behave and Dolce Vita. Is a really pretty quad. I am going to hang on to this one. It's pretty new as well, even though it looks beat up. Let's talk about this one next. This is one of their baked quads that they did, the Micro Smooth quads. This is the lighter version. I really like this. I love the quality of these powders, so I'm definitely hanging on to this one. We can talk about this one next. This is the ColourPop Extra Glazed Face Quad. I love the Super Shock that's in here. Super nice and smooth, very reflective. So I'm going to hang on to that for sure. The 3 like blush bronzer type shades in here, I usually just like swirl my brush all the way through all 3 and kind of combine them. But I do think it makes a really pretty look. Okay, the Cheek Stars Reunion from Benefit looks like this, and I bought this for the shade Cookie. Whenever I bought this, it was half price though, and I had wanted to try the Georgia blush as well, and I wanted Dallas in a pan that I didn't have to carry those boxes. I hate the box packaging for these. So I got this one, and I do really like it, so we'll hang on to that as well, even though it's enormous. What next? I don't even know. We'll do the Hourglass one next. So this is one of the holiday palettes from Hourglass. This was like from a year or 2 ago, I think. I do really like this one, so I am going to hang on to it. It sucks how expensive these are though, because I don't think they're worth the full price, but since I already have it, we'll keep it. Alright, I've got 2 of these little blush duos with highlighters in here. I have, what is this, Lychee and Cantaloupe. I got this because I really wanted a yellow blush and I didn't have another one. And the Lychee one just looked really pretty to me, so I'll be hanging on to these as well. They're so little, they get lost in my collection super easy. And then this is a Kaja face stack. This came out last year, I believe, around the time of the spring Sephora sale. And you've got a really nice like powder blush there. Got a beautiful highlight. It has a bit of a like pink shift to it, and then a cream bronzer. I do really like this little stack. It works great for travel, which people are actually doing now, so I'm going to hang on to this. I have 2 of these Tarte ones. I have this one, which is like a really beautiful quad bronzer, blush, highlighter, kind of a rose gold kind of thing. And then I have this one, which has, oh my goodness, it has 2 blushes and a highlighter. Let me see. I never even used this highlighter before. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty, but I feel like since I have the other one, I can probably get rid of this one. And I've already decluttered one of these 3 stacks, the gunmetal one. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this one. Alright, let's talk about this Moonchild Glow Kit. So here we have these colored highlighters. I've been working to expand my colored highlight collection, so I don't know if I necessarily still need this. I'm going to swatch these out on the back of my hand and then compare them to some singles that I have, because they're pretty like soft compared to some of the other like colorful highlights I have. So you can see there's the 6 shades. And I think I have single highlighters that better represent these colors for the most part. So I think I'm going to go ahead and let this one go. Wow, I didn't think I would ever get rid of that palette, honestly. Let's talk about the Sulmon highlighter palette. This was like the OG highlighter palette from them. I do really like this palette. It's so soft too. Oh my goodness. That's what the 4 colors look like. It's got a little bit of like some, you know, colorful ones and then one more kind of neutral one. I do want to pick up the other highlighter palette that they have too, but for now this one is a keeper. Oh, and I have the Essence Pure Nude highlighter palette, which looks like this. This was a gift from my aunt, and these shades are so like soft and buttery and beautiful. I really like this palette, so I'm going to hang on to this as well. I have the Sydney Blathers Nomad Cosmetics palette. This is the one that came in Ipsy, I think. Or the Ipsy might have been like the long version and this was the one that was on their website. I don't know. But these 3 shades together kind of mix together, make a really great bronzer. And then this one makes a really beautiful highlighter. So I'm going to hang on to that for sure. I have this Rach Loves and Pixie palette, which looks like this. I went hunting for this when it first came out because I talked myself out of it and then decided later that I really wanted it. So I went ahead and picked it up, and I do really like this palette, so it's definitely a keep. The Tardiest Pro Glow palette looks like this. Still smells like vanilla, which is almost shocking, and it's still so smooth. Oh my goodness. So typically these are the 3 shades that I'm going into in that palette because the other shades tend to be a little bit too dark for me. And then sometimes I'll use this shade that's literally called Shade. It still feels pretty good. Yeah, still blends pretty well. I'm going to hang on to that one for sure. I need to use it some more though. And then I have its partner in crime, which is the blush palette. And I do really like this one as well. I love the colorful blushes in here. I do not get enough use out of this like kind of sparkly cranberry blush, but I need to. That's pretty. It's got an almost like sunburnt vibe to it. Definitely hanging on to that. I have 2 BH face palettes here. Glowing in Grease is the first one, and it was when I was looking through like a coral blush phase, so I have this one. I do really like it. I tend not to use these 2 shades so much, but everything else in here I do really like using, so we'll hang on to that. And then the Frosé palette, this was a Teresa's Dead Made Me Buy It. This is a really pretty like iridescent pink kind of duochrome highlight palette, so we'll hang on to that. Okay, so I have the My Melody and Kuromi palette, which I went on the hunt for as well because I talked myself out of this originally and then decided I wanted it. Love the little skull in here, by the way. These are really pretty blush shades, very cool toned, which I appreciate, and I do really like this highlighter to go with them because it's kind of like a lilac type shade that you can see there. This one definitely gets a little bit warm because it has such a strong gold reflect, so I'm not as big of a fan of that one. It's pretty, it just doesn't go with everything else. But I am going to keep this one, and it smells like some kind of candy. I can't put my finger on what it is. If you know, put it in the comments. Alright, this Wander Trip for Two, rude. This Wander Trip for Two blush duo, blush and bronzer duo, I really like. I take this traveling a lot, so I'm definitely going to be hanging on to that one. I have the Too Faced Sweet Peach palette, and I do really like this one too. And it's still like super soft, picks up so nicely. Like, look how pretty that is. Very pretty. Definitely hanging on to that. So this is the e.l.f. and Electric Mood Pizzian collab that they did last year, and it's a cream blush and bronzer. It's a cream face quad, let's put it that way. This highlight I think is definitely very soft, so if you like that just barely there highlight, you'll like this. Otherwise, I top it with something a little bit more special. I do like the cream blushes a lot here too, and the bronzer is nice, so we'll hang on to that. I have these 2 Kiko Milano duos, which I just picked up Valentine's Day of this year, I think. I guess one's more of like a bronzer duo. Like the luminous ones are really pretty, but the other ones are like super, super light. It's so frustrating. So that's what they look like. I do think it's pretty. I'll probably hang on to it, but if I'm not using it very often, I'll probably just pass it along. They do smell like chocolate, which I think is pretty cool, but I'm just frustrated by the fact that the matte shades in here don't work very well. Okay. Ooh, let's talk about this. This is the Cream Contour Palette from e.l.f. I do not use this highlighting shade because I think it's a little yellow, but this makes a really great contour shade. And then these I tend to use more for like bronzer type shades, but I do like this one, so we'll hang on to that. And I've got some other bronzer stuff in here, so let's do those next. I've got this IBY Highlight and Contour Palette, which I tend to take with me when I'm traveling, because if this gets destroyed, I won't be as broken up. These two make really good contour shades for me, so I'll keep that. And then my other favorite contour palette is this one. This is the KVD palette, and I do like that they do replacements for individual pans in here, so you can kind of keep using the same like remainder of the packaging. So we'll hang on to that. And I have the Park Avenue Princess bronzer and contour palette, although this is really the only one that you can kind of get away with as a contour. Everything else just feels a little bit too warm, and the highlights in here are very matte and very boring, so I tend not to use those shades at all. But it smells like chocolate, which I think is divine. Is that all my contour stuff? Guess so. Oh, and I have this little guy, which I think I'm just going to let go of. I had originally repurchased this or got it as a gift after I decluttered it once before, and it came shattered and it was a free gift, so I just repressed it, but I don't like how janky it looks now, so I think I'm probably just going to let it go. Yeah, we'll let it go. That one will go to the trash. That's not getting donated anywhere because it looks so janky. Alright, I have this one from Too Faced, which I keep more for collector's reasons than I do for actually using it. It's one of their like relationship duos. This is the Ross and Rachel, and I used to watch Friends all the time. So I picked this one up, and yeah, I'm gonna keep it. This is the Colored Rain and Power Blush Duo. This is actually the second lightest one, because the lightest one had like a Fire Engine Red blush and then like a pure white highlighter, which I just thought was too light. But I do like this one. Definitely have to use a bit of a light hand for this, because this comes through very, very intense, but I do really like it, and I love the packaging, so we're going to keep it. Alright, let's turn off my phone that keeps bing-bonging every 2 seconds. Getting into the last of it is this stuff here. This is the Saharan Blush Volume 2 palette, and I do really like this one. I love these kind of more interesting shades that you have for blush, and then two really pretty like blush topper kind of highlighter. You can get away with this one as a highlighter, but that one's definitely too dark for me. But I do really like this palette, so we'll hang on to that. I don't know where I'm putting everything at this point. Lunar Beauty Moon Prism Blush Palette. Definitely going to hang on to this one. I do really love this one. It's such a beautiful, beautiful blush palette. I have the Midas Cosmetics Noon Face Palette here, which looks like this. And then somewhere I have the Dawn. Is this it? No. Here it is. So there is Dawn and Noon, and you can see there's just a little bit of difference there. The blush in this one is more like the Orgasm NARS blush. It has kind of that like gold shift to it, but I think both are really pretty, so I'm going to hang on to both of those. Then I have this Cotton Candy Blush palette from Beauty Bakery. It used to have like little cotton ball fluffs here that made it look like cotton candy was floating on top of the champagne, but they have long ago fallen off. This is what it looks like. These are all really pretty blushes. They have this like beautiful kind of like berry undertone to them, so I really enjoy using those. Definitely going to hang on to them. Then I have two of the Smashbox Cali Contour and Cali Kissed palettes. So this is Cali Contour, which I think makes a great travel palette because it gives you kind of that like very warm toned kind of smoked out look. And then Cali Kissed is like the brighter sister of that. I tend not to use the two like highlighter shades in this one, but the blush shades I really like, especially in combination with this palette. So we'll be keeping both of those. I have this Tarte one. I've had this for ages and I love it. It still smells so good. The highlighters in here are so blinding. Yeah, so pretty. Definitely hanging on to those. Then I have this, which is the face palette that goes with the Pirates of the Caribbean and Lorac collab. And this face palette is very, very light, but I absolutely love it. I will definitely be hanging on to it. I have this Becca blush and highlighter. This is the summer one that they put out right before they announced they were going out of business. And I do like this one as well, so we'll hang on to that. I got it at TJ Maxx, so it has this horrendous sticker mark on it. And then I have this Ofra Island Time Blush palette, which I do really like. And then I think this is Bali. Yeah, this is the Bali highlighter. So definitely too dark for me, but a good blush topper. But I like kind of the funkier blush options that you have in here. I mean, these are a little bit more safe, but these are definitely more vibrant. So I'll be hanging on to this one. I have this Milani blush trio and I haven't used it in a while. I think I can go ahead and get rid of it. The shades themselves are really pretty though, so I would definitely declutter it to a friend. But it's kind of bulky and I feel like I have so many other things that I would reach for before this, so I'll let this one go. Alright, I have this Alamar contour trio, which I do really like. The powders in here are so super soft. And I do actually kind of like that. It's not like a, I guess I would say it's like a satin kind of a highlight. I usually use it for like under eye setting. And then these two shades for my contour bronzer type shade. Very, very pretty. Love the texture, so I'll keep this. And then its sister is the Colorette blush trio, which looks like this. Some really nice poppy orange blushes. I tend to go in for this pink though, but they're all really pretty, so we'll keep those. Alright, we're getting down to it, guys. I have this Wander Beauty blush and highlighter stick. So the highlight looks like that. It's a little dark for me from an angle, but I think I can sheer it out and make it work. And then the blush part of it looks like that. It is a really pretty duo. It works great for travel. The actual sticks themselves inside the container are a little loose, so they kind of like wiggle whenever you use them, but I do like the colors, so I'll hang on to that for now. Then I have this Tarte Hamptons Weekender. This tends to be like my go-to palette to take on the weekends because it's so compact and it has a really beautiful blush, bronzer, and highlight. So I'll be hanging on to that. Then I have this MAC trio here, which I love the highlighter out of this one. The blush is really pretty too. The bronzer, for some reason, like hard panned on me, and I scraped some of it off, so it seems to do a little bit better now, but it's still kind of like soft. But that's the colors there. Definitely want to hang on to that. I have this Ofra 5-pan, and this is just like a mini of a lot of their highlighters. What's in here? Star Island, Rodeo Drive, Bali, Pillow Talk, Blissful. So that's all 5 of these. I do really like this one, although, yeah, I guess I'll keep this one for now because it's the only place I have Star Island and Pillow Talk separately. But I do have the original Samantha March duo that has these two mixed together. So I may end up getting this like a donation at some point in the future. This is the other Ofra trio that I have. This is Space Baby, Glazed Donut, and Glow Goals. This is one of the Nikki Tutorials ones. I got this one so that I could get both of these highlighters together rather than buying them individually because I didn't think I would ever go through that whole thing. But there's Glazed Donut and there's Space Baby with that nice like blue shift to it. So hang on to that. This is the Woma Beauty Coming to America face palette, which looks like this. It's definitely a little deep for me, but as blush toppers, these look really nice. I don't tend to go into that gold color though, because it's just like super, super gold. So I'll hang on to it for now, but do I want to hang on to it for now? I'll hang on to it for now because if I'm having to think this long, I might regret it. So, and then this is the NYX Sweet Cheeks palette. I really like this one too because you have such an array of blushes. Which looks like this. You've got some more cool toned options down here. You've got like this really nice coral. This one has a little bit of shimmer to it, so does this one, which is kind of nice. So I'll definitely be hanging on to that. I have this Pure and Barbie palette, which looks like this. It came out last year, and I do really like this one as well. I definitely was leaning into the coral blushes and more like neutrally brown blushes whenever I bought this, so it makes a nice little set of options when you travel. I have this vintage palette, which this I got in an Ipsy like ages and ages ago, or maybe a BoxyCharm, either way. I really like it. I don't know why. It's not that special, but for me, it just like is special. So I'm gonna hang on to that one. And then the last one, this is the Flower Beauty Shimmering Strobe palette. I really wish I could just have like this, because I don't need this whole big space for a brush that nobody uses. Oh gosh, these are so soft. And that's what the 3 highlights look there. I feel like I don't know. I may keep this one for a while too, but ultimately if I'm not using it, I'll probably let it go because I have so many like amazing highlighters. But I have a hard time letting go of highlighters and blush. We all know this. Keep for now. Alright, and I think as far as these go, I think I'll probably end up keeping these singles for a little while longer. I think I'll go ahead and declutter this one because I don't think I need to hang on to this forever. Alright, and that is everything for this video. I want to thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe before you go, and I will catch you in my next video. Bye!